Well, it's a dull day out there today, but in a few hours I'm off to France and to my house in France for a week or so, and I'm going to take some parts with me that I bought for my little van. And these are the parts. God, I hope I get these through the security in the airport. That is a connector in the exhaust. It goes just after the manifold pipe, where it comes out of the manifolds, and then joins the exhaust pipe itself. That's what that is. And what else we got here? That's a that's on the whatever, yeah, to do with the drive shaft, isn't it, or suspension? I've forgotten now. There's some gaiters that had perished, another one that had perished, and a wheel bearing. That's going to be a problem because I've got to get a garage to get that one out. That's it. That's the last one, so it's not too bad. Hopefully we'll get these through customs alright, or the security. So, let's go to France. Right, well, I've arrived in France, and the first job, I think, is to see if I can get the van started. And one of the things I'm always checking now is in here, because on one of my previous visits there'd been a hornet that had started a nest in here, and my friend who was here put his hand in and like this, and got stung. So, right, let's see if it'll start, because we need to go and get some supplies. Well, that's hopeful. Well, that's pretty good, isn't it? I mean, noisy, but radio down. So it's been sitting here for a couple of months now, since I was here last. I forgot how to use it now. Single wiper. Funny, I've got 3 vehicles with single wipers. I've got the Jag, the Mercedes, and this. Right, we'll leave this ticking over for a bit. Let it warm up. Right, well, I'm back from France, and there's scaffolding going up here on the development. I've just been over to pick up my Volvo. Volvo, the warning light, the brake light was coming on, ABS service and all sorts of things it was telling me. And so they've given it a service, and it was actually a sensor, ABS sensor apparently. So they replaced it, and that's okay, but they don't know what's wrong with this vehicle when it goes into limp mode. And they've suggested the best thing is probably take it into Volvo, see if they can do anything about it, as they might have a better knowledge of their own vehicles. And funny enough, when I was bringing it home, it went into limp mode on a hill. Queue of cars behind me. Anyway, so I've left it there for a minute, and I'm going to probably do that, take it into Volvo after Christmas, because it's due for an MOT, so I'll get them to do that and see if they can find out what's wrong with that. But other than that, the Volvo's going lovely. But the Jag ain't, because I went to start it and the battery's flat again. So I probably haven't charged the battery up properly, but what I'm going to do is to get it going again using this little gizmo thingy, which worked before. So I'll put the camera down somehow. Right, take this out. So what we've got is this lovely little gadget, which I think is brilliant. This. So what we'll do is we'll connect the connectors up. Right, so we've got the crocodile clips here. They're, you know, obviously neutral and positive, and this then connects into this, and it only goes one way, so we'll connect that up. Right, put that in, and then we'll, this was always difficult to get out, figured it out. Right, so this only goes one way, so it's not that way, it's that way. Right, then we'll turn it on. Oop, that's on. Now we'll go and start the car, see what happens. If I could find the key. Right, see what happens now. No, it's not connected maybe. That doesn't sound any different to what it was before. But it did work before, unless of course this has lost its power. Needed turning on again, I think. There's a little button, you have to push it to get the lights to come on. See what happens now. No? Well, it's not working, it's a little trick at the moment. Right, let's take it off for a minute. Check these connectors. It's possible I didn't have this positive connected right. Possible. Right, we'll try it again. Right, let's see if that works. No. I think this battery is no good. Possibly no good. Because that worked before. Mind you, the light's gone out. Right, well I've pushed it in a bit. It's possible I didn't have it pushed in all the way. So, we'll try that again. No. That's not very good. Right, I think I'm going to have to take this battery off and get it checked. I have a suspicion it's the battery. Not very good. Okay. Right, we've gone back to basics. I put it on charge. Bit of an old charger, but I think it's working okay. Right, I think we'll just leave it on charge for a bit and see what happens. Right, so it's either a case of the battery's flat because it's not being used enough and I haven't charged it up properly, which is you know, probable because I haven't been driving it a lot and I haven't charged it and I should have done. Or the battery's gone so flat, or it's dead, or it's not holding the charge, whatever, we'll see. So we'll leave it on charge for a bit, a couple of days or something, see what happens. Okay, right, that's under there, and that's got ventilation, but it's charging, so it's keep the rain off it if it rains. Okay, that's it. Poor little car. See what happens. Right, so I fired up the Aventime, and as you can see, it's going well. It's fired first time, and I'm just letting it run for a little bit. And I've just been speaking to the guy who's going to work on my Amy, because what I've done is I've got a stainless steel exhaust for the Citroen Amy that I've bought, or he got for me. That's a complete exhaust for the Amy, and kingpin sets both sides, and he's going to take the Amy in and put new kingpins in and sort the exhaust out. And that is basically the advisories that were on the MOT. So I decided to, put them right and get the car working perfectly, and a new exhaust and everything else. So that's going to happen with that. The Volvo is, as I say, that's just an ongoing project, isn't it? Lovely car, but it just got this goes into limp mode problem. I haven't tried the Crossfire since I've come back from France. I'm sure that'll start. I'll try it later. Right, well, it's the next day now, and it's a beautiful day today, and my battery charger has said that the Jag is charged up, so I've just taken it off, and I'm going to see if it'll start. Amazing that it's charged so quickly in 24 hours, but maybe that's right. Okay, let's try this. Well, yeah, that's better, isn't it? Okay, we'll let that run for a bit. So the thing now is to see how long that holds, the battery holds the charge for. So it's charged it up fully, and oops, look at that. Pulled that straight up. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, well, it's been ticking over for a while, and it sounds really good. Quite smooth. I'm guessing that was just the battery had gone so low from not being used. So it's fully charged and it's running now. The trouble is that it's so horrible and muddy out there. I don't really want to take it out and get it dirty, so I'm going to let it run for a quarter of an hour, 20 minutes or so, and then try it again in a couple of days, see what it's like, or a week maybe even. Just keep an eye on it and see whether it is the battery. I wouldn't be surprised if the battery, I don't know how old it is. I suspect it's quite elderly, that battery, but we'll see. Anyway, at least the car's running well. Right, the next thing now is that I'm going to take the Amy today over to get it put right. That's the exhaust and the kingpin, so we'll get it started up. I'm going to take it over there in an hour or two. Let's see if it'll start. Actually, we had a frost last night by the look of it. This car, right, so it's been sitting here, this car at the moment, for a couple of weeks. I had it out, obviously had it running, had it down the garage, everything was fine. So it should start, we hope. Choke out. See what happens.
Beyonce, take that, okay? Hello, Elton John.
Oh, every radio is on, right. Now this car's never been a good starter. And I don't think I'm going to have any luck. Now that's a nuisance. That's a real problem. Just today I want to take my car out to get fixed and it won't start. Nearly. Oh dear, there we go. Well, that was a bit of a task, wasn't it? I think what we'll do is, I'm going to take it in a couple of hours. I'm going to let it tick over a minute, or run it for a bit here. Get it over and get a battery charger on it for a couple of hours. That'll help it, I guess. And I'm certain that this is just down to a battery that's just not used. The trouble is, this car is always difficult to start. No one has ever been able to solve it. We'll see what happens with the job, because I'm going to get it serviced at the same time. Okay, we'll leave that on charge for a couple of hours and hopefully get that battery brought back to life a bit more. Managed to get it started, but obviously took a lot out of it, and it was low anyway. But hopefully when this car's had the kingpins done and the new exhaust and generally serviced, and the guy who's doing it, Alexander, is the guy who rebuilt my 2CV, and he knows about these cars very well, so hopefully he can have a look and see what he can do to get it starting a bit better if possible. Right, leave it there for a few hours. Right, well, I'm sitting here today in my Mercedes. I've just started it up, and I've got the heat coming on. It'll just start the blower. Actually, I better put this on to a slower speed because the noise will be quite loud. Right, so I'm sitting here in the Mercedes, and the reason is it's well, it's really cold out this morning. It doesn't look it, but it is. But it's not that. It's the wind mainly, and the wind it buffets on these cameras. So I can't really talk about cars with all the noise. So I was actually just going to stand and talk about the Jag, but it's so windy, I'll have to come around here a bit, I think. We'll drive there and see what's going on. Now, I feel quite silly, really, in a way, because there's my Jag. Right, now, a week or so ago, the battery was flat, and it was flat, I'm guessing, and I'm sure I'm right, simply because that I hadn't been using it. So I put it on charge for 24 hours, and it took the charge all right, and it started perfectly. And then I left it for about a week, and went to it, started it again, and it started fine. And then the other day, I took it out for, did about 30 odd miles, maybe 40 miles in it, and it's driving beautifully. So I'm feeling a bit bad, because really I should just be charging these cars up. 24-hour charge maybe seems to do quite well. So I think I'm going to do that. I have done it as well on my little Amy, and that's another car that I was going to talk about. So here we are. Here's the Amy. The Amy's sitting there with a cover over it, blowing away like mad. It has got a strap underneath, so I'm hoping that's going to stay on there. Now, I got some work done on the Amy, so I had the new kingpins fitted, and I had a new stainless steel exhaust system fitted. And I know it's windy, and we'll just have a quick look at that. So here we are. Let's have a look. Look at that. Oh, it's very windy. Nice shiny stainless steel exhaust. I think we'll have to have another look at that on a day when it's not so windy. So the exhaust is really good. Pleased about that. So that car, the only thing that's left with it, which were actually advisories, and we've since found out that it was more than an advisory really. That is one of the tires is damaged. So we took that off and put the spare on, and the spare is okay. So I'm going to buy another spare, so then I'll have the 5 good tires, new exhaust and new kingpins, and the car went through its MOT and nothing else with it. The only thing that I know of that's left on the car now is that there's some rust starting to come, some bubbles coming up down at the under the front bumper there, and there is some more, which more of a worry, around the bottom of one of the front window. So that means the glass needs to come out, the rubber and glass come out, and that needs to be attended to. So I'm going to get that done as soon as the spring comes in a couple of months, when the weather's a bit drier and warmer again, and I'm going to get that rust done before it starts getting too bad. I mean, it's only a small bit at the moment, but it will spread obviously. So the Amy's in there now. I got the cover for the Amy so I could put the Crossfire on the cover, because I'm limited for space at the moment with the development going on and everything that's happening here. And that brought me to another thought. So I went on the internet and I found a cover that's made for this Mercedes, this particular model, this estate version. And I've ordered that, and that should be here hopefully in a week. And for the first time in 20 years, the poor old Mercedes, where I've now got all the bodywork done, is going to be have a cover on it, or it won't be undercover, but at least it'll be more protected from the rain. And the reason was because where they did and I'll show you. So where the rust was done, it was showing just here, and it was under there, under this rubber, and that was all wet under there. That's really tight there. You just wonder how water got under there, underneath that rubber. Now the Volvo is, that's been, and I've had all the, the brakes sorted out. That was a faulty sensor on the ABS system. That's all done, and it's driving really nice. But as I came back from the garage, the other fault that they couldn't do, which is why it keeps going into limp mode, they couldn't find the fault. So it went into limp mode coming home. So that's really why that car isn't being driven at the moment, because, you can drive it for a couple of days, everything's fine, then suddenly it goes into limp mode. Obviously you can get it out of this situation by just shutting the engine off and starting it, reboots it. But it drives you mad driving it, because it happens just at the most inconvenient moment. So the car just tends to be sitting there, which is a shame, because it drives really nice, that car, and it's quite enjoyable to drive, really. So that's due for an MOT in another month or so. So I'm going to take it to the Volvo garage and let them MOT it and see if they can find out why it's got a problem. I'm not confident, but we'll see. Now the 2CV, I'm hoping to drive that to Croatia next year, to the World 2CV rally, and the problem with that is this hot starting problem. But what I've decided to do with that is to get a kit and have it fitted to the engine, which basically increases the engine capacity from, I don't know, it's 602 at the moment. I don't know, I think it goes up to 640 or 650. And it gives you a little bit more torque, a bit more power, helps on the your cruising. I'm not looking for more speed really, or acceleration obviously, not on that car, but it does make it a bit easier on a journey when you've got a slightly more power, and you can cruise and not have to change down so much or get slowed down on hills quite so much, and it maybe cruise at a slightly higher speed a lot happier. So I'm thinking of having that done, and at the same time I have ordered a new coil. Now the coil that apparently I've been advised to get, which is what I've ordered, is one that they use on the Harley Davidsons, and it apparently is suitable for that car, and it's a much better coil, gives a much better spark and everything. So I'm hoping that might just solve that hot problem where it won't start after it's been run for a little bit. So we'll see on that one. So that's that one. Now the Aventime is fine at the moment. It's not really. It hasn't really got any problems. It's running really nice. It's a lovely car. I really do like that. It hasn't got it's not undercover at the moment, but at least that one is plastic. Basically, it's a plastic body and galvanized. So I'm hoping that will just be all right like that. But yeah, that's really doing well. Kind of just keeping it ticking over now till the spring, and then I'm going to give it a real good valet, a real good clean out. It's been to France a couple of times, and it's done really well on those trips. And I'm not having any issues with it at the moment, so that's a good one. Now as for the Mercedes, here, as I say, I've had all the bodywork done. Bodywork, all it was a few tiny little blemishes really, because there's nothing showing at all. The car is just absolutely now unmarked, hasn't even got stone chips. The interior is excellent, and there's no warning lights. Everything's running well, and the 4MATIC's working. See, we're on wet grass here, so if we pull away quickly, so I'm going to pull away quickly now, and the yellow light should come up here to show that the back wheel is slipped and it's engaged the 4MATIC. Oh, yeah, there we are. So that yellow light come on. See, it comes on. It comes on up here. It came on, and then of course very quickly went out. Yep, there we are. So obviously, as I say, it's a rear-wheel drive, and one of the wheels, or both of them, slipped on the wet grass, so it engaged the front wheel, the four-wheel drive, and the front wheel's engaged. But as soon as the slipping stopped, it goes back to two-wheel drive. So it's not a constant four-wheel drive, not like the Audis or anything. Not even like the Volvo actually, because the Volvo is driving all four wheels all the time. It's just that the bulk of the on that one, the bulk of the drive normally will be on the front wheels, and then when they slip on those, it'll engage the back wheels to a greater degree, or swap between wheels. A bit more sophisticated. Obviously, it's got a computer working it. Though this system it hasn't. It's just simply completely a rear-wheel drive vehicle, and then when one slips, it engages a percentage. It engages the front wheels. I think something like about 20%. Then it goes to 40% if that doesn't work. All in a fairly short, milliseconds. But the thing about it is that you got a physical engagement of the front wheels, which is, I think, the difference that many people don't understand. you know, you've got a prop shaft coming from the transfer box, which is not engaged. So when it engages the front wheels, it's having to engage that, start that prop shaft working, basically engages that prop shaft, and starts the front wheels pulling, which is quite an achievement. And of course that was why they had such a problem with it. That's quite a physical movement. You know, normally on cars that have four-wheel drive, the old ones where you know, Land Rovers and the old Jeeps, where you went to four-wheel drive, you stopped the vehicle and then you engaged through the transfer box. You engaged the front wheels. Basically, that's what this is doing, but it's doing it on the move. But it only works up to 30 miles an hour. So as I say, it's not anywhere near the same system as that. It's more like an old-fashioned, you know, Land Rover Jeep system that engages automatically on the move and then disengages over 30 miles an hour. So it's useful for getting out of problems, you know, on grass or ice or snow. But you're not in four-wheel drive in any way when you're traveling on the road, though. Unlike those, of course, all the modern four-wheel drive stuff where you're driving along, and if you're having slipping problems at say 40 or 50, 60 miles an hour, at that speed, you know, the computer will work out the distribution of power according to the four wheels now. You know, they'll swap between all sorts of wheels. They'll even add braking in as well, obviously to keep the car steady, but this is not that sort of system at all. It is a real basic system, as basic as you can get, but sophisticated for its time. That I think is the interesting thing. It was sophisticated, well, too sophisticated really, because it didn't work too well in the end, and the boxes. I mean, you know, somebody will correct me on this, but from what I remember, I was told at the time was that the problem was that what failed on them was the clutches, because of this sort of instant engaging, and the clutch plates burnt out. That's what I understand. So what they did was they replaced them with a revised box that had, as I was told, ceramic plates, which, you know, were better suited for the job. Now, I bought one of these transfer boxes at the time. To start off with, I didn't. I bought a standard box that had been rebuilt, and I had that fitted because it was a cheaper option. And that only lasted about 6 months, and that one went tits up. So I then, you know, I bit the bullet, as it were, and I bought a Mercedes box, which was, I think it was about $3,000. Yeah, it was $3,000 plus fitting and everything. So, but you know, touch wood, it's been fine since. Though it doesn't engage that often. I mean, you know, I don't even drive the car that much now, so it's not working a lot. So hopefully it will last the life of this car now. Whether these boxes are still available, I don't know. This was about, well, at least 10 years ago, maybe a bit more. Probably 12 years ago that I had it done. Anyway, the car, other than that, is fine. You know, really pleased with it. And actually, since I lubricated the sunroof, it's working better. See, the first time by pushing that went up and down. That used to stick a lot, and it's working absolutely fine. Yeah, it's good, isn't it? Right, so that was that. No, and then I didn't. I filmed all of this at the moment, as I say, inside the Mercedes because of the wind. And the trouble with these cameras are that they pick up so much wind noise. Now, I've just ordered a new camera. I mean, most of the stuff I've been filming on for the last couple of years, I've been filming on this little Sony of mine, which has got a sort of Sony action camera, which does 4K, and it's got a physical stability control. You know, the lens is moving around, and it's a good little camera, and everything's in focus. But I've just ordered now the new
Osmo Pocket, which has got a stability stabilizer on it, like a gimbal on it on the top. And I'm going to try that because I've got a feeling it's not going to be as good as this little action camera for two reasons. First of all, the field of view is smaller. Instead, I think this is the one I'm filming on at the moment is 120, I think, and the Osmo, I think, it is. It's 80 degrees, so it's a smaller field of view, so you haven't got so much in. And also, this camera, everything is in focus, which is great, and you don't go out of focus. Whereas the Osmo actually focuses, so it does suffer from, apparently, from what I understand, though they put some firmware updates on it, it does suffer from a out of focusing problem. But I think they may have resolved it. But I'm going to try it. So on some of my new videos, next videos, I will be using this camera to try it out. Then the Osmo when I get it. But we'll see. I mean, I've got a lot of cameras that I use, but this particular one that I'm using now, this Sony I've been using for years, I've found to be the best all-round camera for what I do. So we'll see. Anyway, the build is I don't know what to say. Yeah, it's coming on. We're going up. We've nearly got to the position now where we'll be putting the joists everywhere for the first floor and putting the floor on, and then the scaffolding will go up and we'll go up another floor. It doesn't look as if a lot's been done, but actually a lot has been done. Anyway, we'll see what happens in the next few weeks.
Right, so what happened? I was getting fed up with the Volvo because I'd just been spending so much money on it. And I'd had it in for a service a couple of weeks before. And as soon as I came out from the service, it went into limp mode again. When it wasn't in limp mode, it was working well. But you never knew when that was going to happen again. So I wasn't too happy. And then suddenly, a few days later, we'll say this is say that's the Volvo. That's my black Volvo. A few days later, I went out and it wouldn't start. After a lot of churning away, I managed to get it started again, but it died about 2 minutes later and wouldn't start. It was not out of fuel. And this was the same symptom that I had the last time when we discovered it was the fuel pump that had failed, and we stripped the car down and fitted a new fuel pump. So I got pretty fed up. Anyway, cut to the chase. I decided to put the car on eBay. I've now got a car. The MOT is almost up. I've got about a month to run. It's not running. I can't get it started. Somebody's going to have to, if they buy it, they're going to have to come and collect it. So I chucked it on eBay at quite a low figure. Now here's the story. And this is accurate because the dates are on the documents. Within 4 minutes of me putting it on eBay, somebody bought the Volvo. In fact, I didn't know. I put the Volvo on eBay, walked into the other room, and my phone rang because I put my phone number on the advert. And some Polish guy, said to me he would come and collect my car in a couple of days on the weekend. I was surprised. I said, "Pardon? I'd only just put it on." He said, "Well, I bought it." Okay, he bought it. Well, I was so dumbfounded that I just said, "Oh, great, that's fine, let me know." And the phone call ended. I didn't know who he was. I had his phone number, but that was all. So that was that. I couldn't really get over the shock. I went to look on the computer, and it was 4 minutes after I'd put it on, he bought it. Then suddenly I get. So anyway, just a minute. This is the Polish guy. So that's the Volvo.
just to make this a bit more sensible. And this is the Polish guy who bought it on eBay. Anyway, about 10 minutes later, I get another phone call. And it's from, well, I thought it was the same guy, but this guy's also Polish. And here's the second guy. So he says to me, I want to come and pick your car up tonight, pay cash. This is the second guy. I said, hang on a minute. I've just sold my car to somebody, so I can't sell it to you tonight for cash because I've sold it. He said, no, I come tonight, I'll give you cash. I said, no, hang on. No, I've sold it. So he said to me, this guy says to me, if the person who bought it off you doesn't turn up, give me first option and I'll buy it. I said, well, okay. So I had his number on my phone. I said, I'll keep your number. And he actually texted me to say that he would buy the car off me. Okay. So that was that. Anyway, the next morning, I get a text and it says, hello, I won your car on eBay, but I'm very sorry. My trailer is no good. I cannot pick your car up, so I cannot buy it. Very sorry. Oh. Huh. Well, I was a bit pissed off with that. So I thought, well, there's the second guy. But to be honest with you, I thought, I've had enough of this. It was something funny because these two guys were both Polish, and I thought, well, how did he know this fella? I decided, no, I'll put it back on eBay. So I went and put it back on eBay. I put it on for a higher amount. So that was that. I walk outside the house. About 10 minutes after I put it on, I get a phone call. This guy rings me up. He says, hey, I'm upset with you because you've put your car back on eBay. I said, yeah. He said, you promised me second option if this guy didn't collect it. I said, well, I'm very sorry. I put it back on. He said, no, I want to buy it. I give you the money. I come and pick it up now. I said, where are you? He said, I'm in Birmingham. I said, well, it's a long way away. He said, I'll come now. I'll come pick it up now. I said, okay, how long will you be? He said, a couple of hours. I said, okay, fair enough. So he's now going to come and pick the Volvo up. I said, well, I went back in the house and just stopped the advert because I've now got it on for a higher amount. So I go in and what do I find? It's been sold to another person. This guy. So this guy's now bought it. He's in London. So I have to quickly email him and say, look, I'm very sorry. It's a mistake because there was a big confusion. I explained something and apologized and told him he couldn't have the car and the advert's now been taken down. So he's out of the equation. So the Volvo has been sold to this second guy who's coming in a couple of hours to pick it up. Well, as it happened, I had to go out with my Dodge to have it MOT'd. So about 2.5 hours later, this guy turns up, pays cash to my friend who was there, and took the Volvo away. So he's taken the Volvo away. I've sold it, got the money, and that's it. Anyway, the next day, which was Friday, I get a text from this guy. He said, I'm leaving now with my truck, coming to pick the Volvo up. I said, hey, wait. I texted him back and said, wait a minute. You said you didn't want it, so I sold it to somebody else. He said, no, I didn't. I said, yes, you did. He said, no, I didn't. And so it went on. He said, I never said I wouldn't buy it. I said I would come and collect it the weekend. And I'm coming. I said, well, I'm very sorry, but I got a text from you. And anyway, we just looked into it and discovered that obviously this text did not come from him. So this guy always intended to buy it off me. So somebody sent a text, and I'm only guessing that it's this guy here, who really wanted the Volvo. And I'm guessing, but it looks like he sent a text to me to tell me that he won it and couldn't buy it. So he was conning me that this guy had sent it, if you understand what I'm saying. Apparently, this guy said he buys all these cars, and they all go to Russia as spares. Anyway, that's gone. No car now. I've sold the Volvo. I was fed up with it. Had it 10 years, and I was just fed up with spending all the money on it, and it was always going wrong, and no one seemed to be able to fix it. So I ended up selling it to this Polish guy. And this guy, he now says he wants it because he bought it on eBay. Yeah, which he did. But I got a text from him, which now apparently wasn't from him. So these Polish guys seem to be having a game between them. Anyway, that was how it ended. So I've got no Volvo. But that was a strange experience, and it just shows you what sort of cons. I never realized that a con like that would go on eBay. Interesting.